Hello, hello. Let's see who's on. All right, let's tell everybody know. There's Erica. What's happening? All right, we're getting started. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and followers, welcome to the fourth week of the Champions and Legends Weekly Warrior Happy Hour. So before we get started, I want to start off by touching on what we're dealing with right now. And these are unprecedented times. And at Champions and Legends, we stand firmly with the Black community and communities of color against hate, discrimination, racism of all kinds, and violence in any form. Now, we want to be a part of the solution, and we will continue to reflect and look for ways to foster positivity and, most importantly, change. Now, we challenge you to do the same. Do your research, take action, and most of all, vote. Make sure you vote, okay? Now, moving on to the happy hour. I'm so happy to see all of y'all here today. And we got some great guests for you. And just so you understand what's going on here. So the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour, we're going to talk to gym owners and fitness professionals, professional athletes. We're going to also talk to healthcare professionals, and we'll touch on subjects around CBD, fitness regimens, and best practices around preparation, performance, and recovery. So sit back, enjoy yourself. Hopefully you have a little glass of water or something to drink, and I'm going to bring on our first guest. Her name is Alexandra Charles. Let's see, where is she here? Bringing you on. There she is. There's your invitation, and I'll add. Let's see here. Let's bring Alexandra. In case you don't know what she looks like, she's from Soul Tribes. Alexandra.
Hello.
I am so excited to see you. Can you see yourself back there?
Yeah. Oh.
Look, I'm super excited to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Alexandra Charles, the owner of Soul Tribes.
Yeah, Soul Tribes, yoga and meditation in Houston. Yeah.
So good to have you. So good to have you.
So good to be here with you, my friend.
Yes, yes. We have a lot to talk about. I'm excited to get to the nitty gritty. But first, tell us all about Soul, okay?
Yeah. Soul Tribes is in Houston, Texas. We're in Spring Branch, so in that little west area, like more in the west. And we are a yoga and meditation studios. We are non-heated, so just like very neutral room temperature. And we do a really breath-based focus of movement and stretch and yoga. And then we also do meditation. So we focus on meditation that's really accessible to everybody and anyone, no matter what your beliefs or religion or anything at all, but we just really want to get people connected to their breath, connected to their body, their somatic experience, to come into more of their awareness and mindfulness, and so just to really be in the present moment as well. And you know, like you were mentioning, there's so much stimulation, and there's such a, especially at the moment, such a interesting time, that I think if we can get really present and connected into self, is just a really great way to change and help create miracles. So, but yeah, so we do yoga and meditation and lots of classes, a little bit limited at the moment just with all of the different, you know,
right,
mandates.
But some great adjustments. I've seen the studio, you got the lines out, so you got people 6 feet apart.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you're doing everything right. You're keeping the studio very, very clean. And you know, you have some interesting courses that I think you got to share with people, because you know, like there's a full meditation course you have, class, and then, you know, I'm in love with the bowls. Okay.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
we do
also?
a few different workshops now. We've pushed some workshops back just because we want to make sure that we can, obviously have a great amount of people. We've pushed some workshops back. So we have different workshops around like meditation where sometimes it is just on, we have these beautiful crystal singing bowls and a gong. And so that sound vibration is very healing on the frequency level for all of our cells and our body. And so we do workshops where it's like big, hour and a half sessions of just the sound healing aspect. And then we do have stuff where we're doing, we have another one coming up. We haven't really announced it yet, but we're working on it. It's so surprise. So here's the announcement. So it's going to be in July, sort of mid-July, and we're actually going to be doing it where we're doing, we have a breathwork workshop that's separate, which we focus a lot on breath and the anatomy of breathing and how and whys and the nervous system and, getting your nervous system plastic and deep breath work. And then we've got the one that's the announcement is that, we're actually mid-July going to be doing, we're going to be starting hopefully often, but it'll be breath work, meditation, and then jumping into ice baths. And so the ice baths where it's a big tub full of ice and water. And, but we're going to prep you for it, but then we're going to jump in, which is such an amazing way to get you in the present moment because you are so cold that your mind gets so centered and you focus back on breath. And so then we'll take you through that process of, coming out of the ice and, going back into like, okay, just be here right now. Don't check out, don't try and run away and come back into breath work and then come back into meditation and then jump back in. So I'm doing a friend of mine. It's going to be really good, really powerful. So
That
might have to give
very,
might have to give people a bit of CBD beforehand just to be like, ooh, I got this. It's going to be great. Yeah. So
one of my issues is that I have a little trouble sitting Indian style, as you know. And do you have any classes that are focused on stretching alone?
Yeah, so we have we call it our seed class, but it's just yin yoga. And yin yoga is where we don't move that much. You might only do 6 to 8 poses in a class, but you're actually working on holding the poses. They're not intense. You're not usually standing up or anything, but they're stretches. And then you're letting your body open up within about, anywhere between 3 to 6 minutes, depending on, what the pose is. And you're really letting it open up on its own. So you're not trying to just pull. Yeah, thanks. I can see someone said I love yin. Yeah, it's so good. Please come and visit us. So that we always find that your body gets to a place in about the minute and a half mark in yin when you're in a pose where because you're relaxed and you're supported, we make it very calming. And you've already meditated, so you're prepped, is that your body just starts to let go. And when you're letting go, it starts to open up, and then you can feel your stretch a little bit more, and maybe you relax deeper into it. And so that's just a pure, relaxing, stretching, breathing. Very good for our very busy lives because yin being the opposite to yang, and we are usually in yang mode, so that go, busy, doing. And when we come into yin, we're just being and resting. And so a lot of people get very spacey after yin because they're like, whoa. But we do focus on stretching in all of our classes. So if you wanted that little bit of more energetic and the vinyasa flow type class, we always focus quite a bit on stretching in that as well. So
I got a couple of questions for you. As you know, questions. Before we get into more about your classes and the things that you do there, tell us about you. Tell us about your journey. How did you get the space of owning your own studio?
Oh, goodness. So, I'm actually a professional dancer, and I have been since I was not professional at 4 years old, but I've been a dancer since I was about 4 years old, and I wanted to grow up and be a ballerina. Unfortunately, I'm 5'8", and I don't have the bone structure of a ballerina. I don't know what to say, but I'm a decent sized woman. And so I got to about 14. I was already quite tall, and you know, womanly, and they were just like, you're really great, but you're never going to be a ballerina because you're just too big. So, but so I did a lot of jazz and musical theatre and tap and all that kind of stuff. And so actually the reason why I get to be in Australia, in America, sorry, because I'm from Australia, is because I managed to come over here with a very legal visa. So, but I came over here on a performance visa. I gotta pop that in. Yeah, I came over here on a performance visa, and I've been here nearly for 6 years. And I was actually in Vegas. And before I came to America, I've travelled and worked all over the world doing really cool shows and musicals, and you know, for brands and fun, you know, fun things. And then I actually was a real showgirl in Vegas, and yeah, like with all the feathers, the big headdress and the feathers and the high kicks, and yeah, and then I made my way to Houston, which I still perform, but I think so. The roundabout circle of the story is that being a dancer, I did have quite a lot of injuries, and back then when we were in, and same as I'm sure you would agree, when you were in that athletic time, we didn't have, you know, the internet to just be like, how do I fix this? How do I stretch that? How do I get better at something? And so it was just learning by, and unfortunately back then now, and so yeah, so I had quite a few injuries and you know, things that happen, and that's kind of, you know, you're the athlete's life, and a dancer is an athlete, just a different form. And so I found that as I got older, I really wanted to be like, oh, some of these issues are kind of not going away, and I keep injuring myself, and that's how I actually found yoga. And the dancing world is extremely competitive and can be a little bit like a bit of a mind mess. And so with that and growing up in that and some of the programs that you're trained in, I found that I just was not being my best self or my best self. And so then that's how I found meditation, because I was like, there must be another way to think of things. There must be another way to not be beating myself up all the time and, you know, just always shaming myself for things that are so silly. But when you're trained that way, to always think the worst of yourself and the most critical, because that's how you're trained to get better. And so then that's how I also found meditation. So it was a nice way to sort of work on reprogramming, like how I treat myself and how I, you know, talk to myself internally, and you know, it's okay if we're not perfect.
Hey, you know, the self-talk is so important. Whether you're in athletics or whether you're going to an office in one of these high-rise, you know, that self-talk is huge, and I think we all struggle with that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that meditation and yoga kind of brings that together.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely, the meditation was such a huge part. When I started meditating and just found all these aspects of myself to connect with, I can honestly, truly say that it changed my life. And, you know, I'm actually sitting in my studio. I'll just give you a little look-see. This is actually, I'm in the reception area of the studio, and we've got we've got a room here and a nice big room down there. Yeah, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this and helping other people and connecting the way that I get to connect, which I feel very blessed to be able to do, if I hadn't had gone through all of that stuff to work on me to get here. And I still work on me every single day. And, you know, so, but yeah, the meditation, and then combined with the physical yoga, where we get that awareness of self. Because I think a lot of times, you know, even when people work out, which I listen to music when I work out as well, but you know, a lot of times you just put music on if you're working out or going for a walk, and you tune out. And then, so if you're tuned out, you're not actually connected to what's happening. And I think that yoga practice is, that yoga practice helps us to remember to be like, no, stay tuned in, like tune into what's happening. Like, what are you doing in this shape and this pose, and stay present in it, instead of like, I gotta get my run in, or I mean, no offense to runners, that was the first thing popped in my head, but you know, like, I'm going to just walk on this Stairmaster, or I'm going to lift weights, but I'm going to blare music in my ears, and I'm not going to think about what I'm doing. And, and obviously not everybody does that, but it's a very easy thing to do, just to tune out into the music and be like, oh, it's fine, I'll just do it. So I think that,
well, and throw some more questions at you.
Please, yeah.
You know, because yoga, you know, you mentioned injuries. yoga seems to have both a preventative and a recovery element.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, just kind of share about that, because let me just finish the question. There are athletes from other sports that come in to receive the medicinal effects of the yoga experience. So now you have people from all walks of life that show up. Tell us about your clients.
Yeah, so I've had many, many different clients. I've actually had, I used to stretch some football players as well, and some other athletes, and some current athletes and ex-athletes. And I have some older clients that are working on, you know, making sure that they keep their mobility. And I think that, you know, with yoga, it's just got such a benefit. So you can get stronger, you can get more flexible, you can heal an injury because you're finding awareness around it, and then how to stabilize all the muscles around it and work with, you know, your joints and understand movements, understanding the alignment of your body. Because, you know, when we when we learn how to actually stack our body in certain ways, that's also extremely helpful, because if you're doing things with bad form, that's usually why injuries happen, or if you're overdoing things. And so I think that yoga is such a great tool, because, you know, you get to learn, you know, why is my body needing to be in this shape to then create something, and what am I using and what am I relaxing. And in stretches, it's learning how to stretch the right way, so that you're not either overstretching or you're stretching but not really even doing anything. Right. And therefore you might be susceptible to an injury because you haven't really done the correct stretch. So your muscle is still kind of in that same way that it was before you did it. So it's kind of like a waste of time. But yeah, definitely.
So tell me this. Has CBD played a role in your athletic experience, or are your
Did you say CBD?
Yes, has played a role for you, and then are your clients asking about it?
Yeah, so I love CBD, and I can't wait to get my hands on even more of your products. So I found that CBD is really great emotionally, actually. So I take it to help regulate some sleep patterns, because I'm a really big fan of sleep.
Aren't we all?
I'm really big fan of sleep. So I find that obviously sleep is so good for us because it helps us to recover. And if we're not having enough sleep, there's, you know, such a long list of things that happen to our body and our mind and nervous system when we're not sleeping well. So I definitely use CBD a lot, like when I ingest it, to help me sleep better, to help calm things down if I'm having a very stressful day. You know, I have the business on my own, and I did it, and life can be stressful. So sometimes that CBD is that little bit of helping hand, even with all my other tools. And then I found that CBD, to rub on. So all of the really great quality CBD, you know, creams and stuff are just really nice for that, like, you know, right here on your skin, or like right here on your injury. And I do have a couple of clients that, we make sure that when they have sort of some reoccurring niggly injuries that kind of don't go away all the time, very often. Yeah. So, you know, whenever they flare up, that's the first thing we kind of go on, is like, let's pop some CBD on that, and then, you know, really think about, do we need to massage it? Do we need to leave it and rest it? Do we need to stretch all the muscles that are around it and adjacent to it and opposite it? And so yeah, but CBD, I'm all for it.
All for it.
So good.
You know, there's so many different forms. You mentioned several different. You can ingest, and then the topicals. So I mean, you really covered it, and I'm looking forward to, you know, making that available to you and your clients.
I can't wait. Can't wait to have it here for everyone.
We're excited.
Yeah. We might, as I said, we might have to do it for that ice bath. Yeah. We'll be like, everyone, here's some CBD first. Now let's meditate and do breath work. Now get in the ice. Yeah.
I'm more questions about that ice bath. You know, I get freaked.
Oh, you're coming. I've already signed you up.
But that's
say that again, sorry.
Well, of course you have. Of course you have. Well, I'm there. Of course you have. So sign. But hey, look, you know, I can't believe time has already flown by. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
I mean,
So
Soul Tribes
we will
is
see you
about
again soon.
all of our souls connecting. And yeah, I can't wait to see you. I think we've got a little bit of, oh no.
A little bit of lag time there.
Yeah, like I don't know what's happening. Let me have a look.
I want to say goodbye and thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's a little bit better, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna say goodbye if you can hear me.
Oh, there we go. I think I got you back. I don't know what's happened.
That's it.
Oh, am I here? Okay. I don't know.
Oh man. So kind of got tainted there. And let's see if I can pull up his picture. We're going to football now, y'all. So let's see if I can find Mr. DeVere Posey. Let's see what we got here. All right. There we go. And boom. There it is. We're waiting for him. Mr. DeVere Posey will be joining us right now. He's coming on. So until he comes on, people think about yoga. Yoga is indeed a sport. I personally have been in classes wondering why I'm putting my body through such torture, but at the same time, I come away with a sense of peace behind it. It looks like the signal is kind of a little bit stressed right now. DeVere is about to come on. And in the interim, you know, if you want to talk about CBD, you know, cannabis and the medicinal effects of CBD have been around for 3,000 years. And it's been used, cannabis has been used in health and wellness for so very long. And I'm really excited that we are able to wake up to it and participate in it from a holistic perspective. So that's solid. Let's see here. I am looking for DeVere. He is. He's here. Let's see here. Yeah, he's got his invitation. But there is a lot of stress on the signal right now, guys. And let's see here. We are live. Let's see here. If anybody has a question. Okay, here we go. I see a connection coming. I see a connection coming. So let me just put up his picture so you'll know who's coming. Oh, look at that one. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's see here. There he is. DeVere is asking to come in. I'm trying to let him in. And yes, he has been given a connection. There he is. What's happening, big guy?
There it is. How you doing, man?
Oh.
I apologize about that. It's internet connection.
Yeah. You know, that's always a challenge. You know, we never know how many are on, and clogging up the lines. Ladies and gentlemen, Devere Posey. And man, you know, I first met you when you became a Texan. And, you know, I've known you for a while now. And you come from the Ohio State, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. And man, I'm excited to talk to you for a bunch of different reasons. You know, as an athlete, you know, I see you passing by, but then I got to know you a few years ago, and you're a very dynamic guy, man. Very dynamic guy, and I appreciate you taking the time to come hang with me. Behind me, you know, I'm gonna just go straight to it, man. That is a trophy right there, and was it 2017, 2018?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
you were a Grey Cup champion.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the Super Bowl for Can't talk about it, man. Tell me all about that experience.
I mean, I was fortunate to be a part of a great team. A lot of great players were on that team in the CFL. Ricky Ray, a quarterback. He's like the Tom Brady of the CFL. S.J. Green, Marcus Ball, you know, Sean Lemon, James Wilder Jr. I mean, it's guys I'm not even mentioning that weren't even starters on that team that are starters now in the CFL. And just to be able to be a part of that team, it's just I look at that year as a representation of just life, because life is adversity, right? I mean, I think that year we were 9-9. So just as much confidence as we had about winning a championship, you know, it could have been downplayed with just as many losses. So we just had a mindset that we were going to fight, and that's all you can do. And just that year taught me and gave me skills for my life. I mean, when you become a champion, it's more than just a trophy. I mean, what you're holding up is the arguments that you had that year, the disagreements with the coaches, the disagreements in between players, the come into grips moments, and just being able to put all of those things on the field and put it in and display it with the championship like effort. It goes to show you what adversity can do in your life, and it goes to show what just continuing to fight and continue to stay focused can do. So when I see that picture, I think of, you know, all of the hard times, you know, like that night was blissful. It's hard to remember, but I remember the hard days and leading up to that day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that, you know, that's a culmination of discipline, heartache,
Yep.
you know, aspirations seemingly dashed at times. You know, I look at you, there's a lot of joy there, but I know that a lot of work went into you guys, you know, achieving that. And, you know, let's just take it one more step, man. Who was the MVP of that game?
Oh man, you know, the stars aligned that night, and it was my night, man. I got lucky that night. It was my night. So just man,
let me just put the picture up. Yeah, that's the one I got. That's holding up the MVP trophy. Okay.
Man, yeah,
what?
Man. Yeah, it's not too far. It's right up here on my bookshelf. But
okay.
Man, it's I keep it. That's a award that I keep close. But just I can't take credit for that night. Man, it was just like I had a good game, and it could have been anybody. I mean, because we had guys that were having good games all the way up into that, and but I do remember that day, that morning. I was like, I kind of just felt like when you go to the Grey Cup, you know, it's so much distraction. It's, you know, all the teams, all the fans are there, just like with the Super Bowl, you know, Super Bowl Row and all of these different events and pop-up shops and things like that, and parents you have. And I think for me, what I learned was when you get to an event like that, it's not a race of, you know, what's the game plan like? It's just who can make the week normal, who can prepare normally. And I think for me, the thing I remember about holding that trophy is I was swimming in the pool at 6:30 that morning. And,
Really?
and every day leading up to that, I swam every morning. And I entered practice with that mentality. And I just said, you know, I'm going to finish how I got here. And that's, swimming, doing my hips, waking my feet up, opening up those plantar fasciitis, getting the calf muscles working, getting the hips open, getting the hamstrings working. And that's what I did every day on the game day leading up to it. And I just didn't want the Grey Cup to be any different. And
Right.
so athletes that are like following this, it's not about like getting off your routine or on your routine, determines if you're going to have success, but it's about sticking to what you say you're going to do. And I told myself that's what I was going to do to prepare for any time I put my cleats on or my helmet on. And I remember that about that night. I mean, that morning. And another caveat, my wife don't hate me for this. She was crying when I won MVP. And she was like, "Why aren't you crying?" And I said, "I've been here before." And it's not like a comment of, cockiness or anything. It's just that I've been here before. And when I said that, I've meditated on winning. I meditated on being the MVP of that game. I actually claimed it that week. I told my brother, I said, I'm going to play well. And if I get a chance to play on a big stage, I'm going to show up. And so that was preparation, a mindset, and like meditation that kind of resulted in that. And so that's joy you see, man, and just in believing in that process.
Absolutely. Let's break it down. Let's break it down, because at Champions and Legends, we are about, preparation, performance, and recovery. And, you mentioned a few things that you do to prepare for games. Now, I know that you guys get beat up, and then have to turn it around the next week and be just as prepared as you were and fresh as the game before. So let's just kind of go through your preparation regimen.
Okay. I think for me, every week it's about just how fast can I recover? It's like it's a race. I mean, that's what pro sports is, because everybody is talented and everybody can ball. It's about who's available. I mean, everybody's heard the term, you can't make the club in the tub, and you can't finish the season in the training room. And so just taking that mindset, I mean, it's been my professional woes my whole career, just battling injury. So how can I prevent injury? It's more preventative work than anything. So every morning, if I have a pool handy during the football season, I'm going to try and swim on days that we have practice. And if it's a game day, I'm just going to do it light, just walk through the pool just to feel a little lighter, type of thing. From there, I like to open my hips up and my feet. My brother is huge on balance beams for your feet.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people on Instagram that I follow, like the Doctor Foot Collective and the Foot Doctor and things like that. And what they're speaking on is reflexology. Everything, all of your nerve endings reflecting your feet, and just waking up your feet every single day is a process, and it just allows for better body functioning. And the 3-point alignment, the 3-point alignment for me are ankles, knees, and hips, and it just gets those things rolling in the morning. So when I get to work, I don't want to be stretching. I don't want my teammates to see much preparation as far as seeing me getting stretched out by a trainer and things like that, because I did that in the morning. I did that at 5 a.m. right after meditation. And for me to prepare that way every single day is just a habit. And it allows to make practice easy. And so with that, I mean, on some days I might ride my bike to work, or I might drive, just depending on if I'm trying to get some extra cardio. I go through practice, and then after practice, that's when the race starts. So I got my neuromuscular, machine that I hook up and do my microcurrent and just kind of calm all my things down, all my nerves and all my muscles down. And then, from there, I might cold tub, hot tub, do another hip stretch at night, and then just try and get my rest. And it's all about eating well, the food that you put in your body. If you're spending time digesting food to the point where it makes you go to sleep. I mean, we grew up in the Black community. We've all heard the word itis, and just if you have itis, it's a terrible thing, because it literally means that your body had to shut down to digest food. And if that's the case, that means you're biting into your recovery time. So your body is spending 4 hours digesting food instead of recovering. So for me, if I'm not eating food that goes along with anti-inflammatory properties, or not eating food that has things that benefit me nutritionally, I'm working against myself with my sleep and my rest. So that's a
Right.
big part to my rest and recovery and my preparation is what I'm eating. So I normally, end the night with a good meal, and then started with a fresh smoothie every day, getting all of my stuff in, and making sure that when I do that, giving myself the best fuel to run on, the
Right.
best fuel to burn, and
Our
and that,
resident nutritionalist, Crystal Hadnot, is like saying, "Preach!"
yeah,
He's like
yeah,
telling the truth over here. So
amen,
that's yeah,
amen.
and
Well, yeah, that's my passion too. I mean, I have a nonprofit, Pocket Full of Posies, that's based around sports nutrition and education, and so it's my passion because it's part of my story. As a kid, I was a Make-A-Wish kid. Nobody knows what Make-A-Wish Foundation is. It's a foundation that gives at-risk youth the opportunity to make their dreams come true and answer their wish. And so my dream was I wanted to meet Mickey Mouse when I was a kid,
really
and yeah, and I wanted to go to Disneyland. So the Make-A-Wish Foundation paid for my family, and the condition that I was battling was an immune deficiency. So I was born with half my immune system, and still to this day, just been able to battle and be aware of that. And so when I made it to the NFL, I did my blood test at the combine, and they said that I still had immune deficient properties. And then all the way, you fast forward 4 years later, I signed with the Jets. I got traded to the Jets, and they did a blood test, and they said that I was totally healed from my immune deficiency. And
wow.
the only thing that changed in between that was cash in my pocket and being able to live and be able to do the right things and put the right nutrition in my body, and have the right supplements and have the right vitamins every single day. And so that inspired me, plus my Make-A-Wish impact on my life, to start my foundation about just, yeah.
Go
And just,
go into that foundation. Talk about that a little bit more. Let us all know what that's about, man. Because I mean, that's it's huge.
well, it's something I started back in 2013, under the umbrella of just wanting to do football camps, but also wanting to do football camps with a platform to reach the parents, because I felt at that time that's where the change was. We had a nutritionist go ahead and make a program for us that basically gives you the weekly guide on what athletes need to fuel their body, pre and post. Just a healthy guide in the right way to shop in a grocery store, to go around the outside of the grocery store. Now, if you go in the middle aisles, now you're playing with fire. But if you can
Okay.
just start in the vegetables and the produce, and you go from produce to dairy to get your bread, and then you get out of the grocery store, you're fighting the right nutritional battles if you go that way. So just be coming up with those programs and passing that information to parents, along with just using football as the platform, because I understand that people love me because I play football, or people trust what I say because of football. And if it's anything outside the realm of football, it can be somewhat questionable. But health and nutrition and wellness, I wanted to be able to pass those things and the impacts it's had on my life and my success on the football field to others. And so we started off with using that as that vehicle, and Pocket Full of Posies since then has taken off, and we've come up with different ideas and different programs in the educational and nutritional health and wellness space, to where we recently did a thing with COVID to, if anybody lost their job, we did resume building services, and also rebuilt their resumes from scratch, and gave their family a certain amount of money for a few months to make sure that they can go grocery shopping at their favorite grocery store. And we
Wow.
also did some, we had a healthy company, Simply Plated. They partnered with us and gave those same families meal prep, whatever time they want and need, just gave them access to that. So it was something that, things like that, and just
But
trying
that's
to put our
yeah.
foot on the pedal and just get that stuff rolling and get that stuff out in the community is our goal. And to be honest, we just use football. We just use
That
football to get people in the door, to educate them, and to get them to see what we're really talking about.
right, man. That's real action. That's real action, man. And my hats off to you for
Appreciate
doing. Um, getting back to the athletic path you're on. So what are your go-to supplements and vitamins and things of that nature? Do you use CBD?
Of course, yeah, big CBD fan. I believe it in for recovery and going to work with some good CBD in your system just to relax. And 'cause I think for me a big thing is handling the mental aspect of professional sports. There's a stressful side to it. Just being able to go into it with the mindset of where I can handle this, and CBD helps that. It helps with the stressors. It helps just put you in that mindset of let's attack the day and also let's recover from the day. So CBD is one. I'm really big on drinking a lot of water. I'm very natural during the football season. I'm spinach, kale smoothies in the morning with, black seed, sea moss, all those type of things. And I like to burn that stuff when I play. So when I practice, I'll have a big smoothie, like the biggest one I can have, to the point where I'm like I'm feeling like that. And
Right.
I used all that fruit and all those nutritions, and I just go and burn it. And then immediately after, I just try to eat lean foods and just try to do different isolates with like glutamine, and just my electrolytes are high. But I'm not really a big like powder, shaker guy. I'm not really. I'm just a water, electrolytes, and glutamine type of guy. I make sure I have my my B12s. I go get IVs and things like that throughout the weeks. If my body or my immunity is feeling bad, I'll make sure I go and get my my glutamine, my B12s, and getting all of my calciums and stuff thrown into an IV bag just to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to make sure my body recovers and prepares.
So you stay in that type of shape all the time. Now, I'm going to share with people that are listening today, and I've been to restaurants with you, very nice restaurants, and I think that was probably the only time I ever felt sorry because he would look at the menu and it's like, can't eat that, won't eat that, no, and you end up coming up with something, but it's interesting because everyone else is like, yeah, I'll take 2 of those steaks and I'll do this, that, and you're like, nah,
Yeah.
So hats off to you again for staying disciplined at restaurants and stuff like that. You have to do it, man. Yeah.
Hey, man, appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So man, it's if you would just share with me, because we're running out of time, so I want you to share with me just like one story or something from the CFL that folks don't know. Like, wow, okay, that's a different experience. Something, a favorite moment.
What have I enjoyed about the CFL? I can honestly say that the CFL has been a great outlet for me, just to play the game. The NFL. I love the NFL. Don't get me wrong, and I gave it my best effort, and just being on 3 teams when I was down there, it was a great experience. But I had a lot of football in me left when they told me they didn't want my football anymore. And when I say they, I just wasn't getting signed by teams. So just for the CFL to be there, I remember our first conversation, I spoke with Jim Barker, and the first thing he said was, "You're going to love football again." And
Wow.
And I was kind of doing some things off the field with you. That's how we met, and we were working on projects and trying to increase my business acumen and being mentored in that light, and just doing an experimental MBA instead of going to school and sitting in the classroom. So just being able to do that stuff. But I can honestly say that I'm happy I got to come up to the CFL and get this football out and meet the people that I've met and gain the perspective that I've been able to gain. I had never left the United States, and it made money out of the country before, and just how resourceful this made me tax-wise, understanding different businesses and different markets, understanding different diversity structures and different things that people in Canada appreciate in reference to things that Americans appreciate. I've been able to play in some great cities, some great major cities in all of North America, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and now Hamilton, and been able to play in Houston, New York, Denver, living in Florida and Baltimore as well. And I don't take my journeyman career for granted. I believe that's my blessing. I believe that's the thing that I'm walking away with is my network in all of those cities, the connections that I've garnered, the people, the experiences, and it's gonna last me for a lifetime. And it's just a pretty cool thing that I was able to experience all of those cities and come away with so many lessons to pass along back home and stuff like that. And that's probably been the coolest thing. And just meeting, just getting to play the game. Just getting to play the game.
Well, the game has appreciated you. I've appreciated you. And, you know, you'll always be a hero in my book. And, man, thank you so much for joining me, man. It's you know, you're agreeing to come really touched my heart. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. All right? So,
I appreciate you, Chenna. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Yeah,
and
man. Hell yeah.
I'm going to let you run.
Have a good one, brother.
My pleasure. My pleasure, man. Much love to you. Cheers. Cheers. Man, that dude is fantastic. And I can't tell you how many times he has come up in conversation to where, you know, just having the integrity that he does just really, really touches my heart. So next up, we have our resident nutritionalist, and that is, and I'm going to give her an opportunity to come join me. And let's see here, boom. Okay, so as you can see, these athletes not on TV in the world, what we do when no one's watching. So performance, and recovery. And recovery is just seems to keep coming up. Is how quick can you recover to get to that next game? How fast can you, oh, wait a second, here we go. Come on in, Crystal. I know you're waiting. So until she comes, oh, there she is.
No.
Crystal,
Hey.
how are you? Yes, I was. So welcome back. And I know you've been watching the whole time this evening. So, I mean, we have about,
Yes.
yeah, about 10 minutes to kind of recap because I saw you in there going.
Oh, it's
well,
kind of fine because the last guy did my part. I was
no,
like, when
all.
he said nutritionist, I said, okay, he's been linked with a nutritionist because he gets it from eating for fuel and performance perspective. And really, I tell people all the time, if you know, you can put regular gas or you can put performance gas in your body. You decide how you want to perform. So
and
he
put ice cream.
He really,
you're happy.
He really did it. He said everything.
Right.
He even talked about inflammatory foods, which is what my business is based on. So,
okay. So just for those who don't know you yet, let's talk about what you do and all that before we get started on our conversation. Because we got a few minutes, and I want you to do that first.
Okay. Well, I am a certified nutritionist, and I help individuals basically get their body to peak performance, so full performance through nutrition. And when I say through nutrition, that's not prescribing you a particular diet because I really don't believe in the common dietary theories that are out there after studying hundreds of them. I really help teach people what works for their specific bodies based on the specific level of performance that they do for their specific bodies, and just teaching them how to learn to work one-on-one with your body because your body is smart. And so it's just you have to allow it to do what it needs to do.
Right. Well, and you do that quite well. I remember DeVere saying that he had to deal with some immune deficiencies.
And I was like, And that's where the inflammatory foods come in, because and a lot of people have immune deficiencies, but they go undiagnosed. And
Right.
so generally it takes, and this is the statistics out there, it takes 7 years and over 25 doctors for a person to receive an autoimmune diagnosis on
Okay.
average. So generally
Huh.
you have normal symptoms. It's just that when something really bad is off, then they finally figure out what's really wrong, because the symptoms are so normal.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
I, I got a
so
question here.
he was saying some good stuff, and you learn a lot
Okay.
about your body and the way it performs, because when you have a deficiency in your immune system, it requires you to do extra for your body to perform. And I truly
Okay.
believe that that makes a good athlete.
Right. Well, that leads to a question that one of the guests asked. What are the most inflammatory foods to avoid? And what do you think of nightshade?
So that nightshade is, so I'll go to the first part. So you have,
Okay.
and not to be so scientific, but you have to understand your specific genetic gut, which is your microbiome. So my microbiomes, or my bacteria inside of my gut, looks different from yours. So it's really first identifying what your gut microbiome makeup is, and then you can figure out what those irritants or those inflammatory properties are, because they're different from person to person. And so once you identify what that is, you have to remove that out of your system, and then repair your gut, and then rebuild your gut, then add nutrients to your diet to rebuild it back up. And that's all you're doing also when you have a virus. It's the same process. It's just that I'm breaking it down in a scientific term. So when you catch a virus, that's a bad bacteria that enter into your system. Generally, they just treat the symptom and give you a medication. And then you wonder why you have that same virus come back up later, like sinuses. A lot of people have sinus infections that pop up all year round, but they never really dealt with the root issue. They just masked the symptom. So that's
I
it.
see.
But as it relates to the second part of your question, nightshade fruits and vegetables are very common irritants that exist within the body. They have a higher level. They're not necessarily bad foods, because when you say something, people immediately just stop eating something. Like gluten had a bad name. You know, people's like, well, I'm not going to eat gluten. I was like, gluten is not bad. It's really your gut that's jacked up. You need to fix your gut so you can digest gluten properly.
Okay.
But it's nightshade fruits and vegetables do have a higher level of inflammatory markers within them. And that's, and like my favorite one, which is the highest level, is tomatoes. It's a healthy fruit. Yeah, and it is a fruit for those that don't know. It's a healthy fruit, but it also has a high level of inflammation. Inflammation is not the devil. I always tell people too. You need inflammation. Inflammation is what helps you recover from injury. Inflammation is what protects your immune system. Inflammation is what protects you from bad bacteria, etc. It's just when you have an excess of inflammation inside your body, i.e., for a football player, if he has a hardcore workout, inflammation sets in his joints to protect the joints because they went through a hardcore workout.
Right.
And it can actually cause pain, which is acute inflammation, not chronic inflammation. But if he goes and eat a food that has high level inflammation, which is why he said he does anti-inflammatory foods post-workout. So if you go and eat foods that are high in inflammation when your body is already up in its inflammation levels to protect you, you actually cause damage to your body, so it doesn't recover properly.
So
So
you're throwing
that's kind of where he
on
was
the
coming
scale.
in, where like, okay, I know I already have a high level of inflammation. I just had this hardcore workout. What you don't want to feed your body is a bunch of tomatoes, a bunch of bell peppers. Eggplant is high in inflammation. So understanding sweet potatoes are high in inflammation. So it's just understanding those foods that have high levels of inflammation. If your body is going through inflammation to protect itself, or you had a stressful day at work, your inflammation levels are higher. So
Right.
just understanding when your body is going through high levels of stress or inflammation, you don't want to feed it more inflammation, because the key is to maintain a balance of inflammation, a balance of cortisols, a balance of your hormones, because you need those things. It's just that when they're out of balance, they become a problem.
Right. Wow. I mean, this hour goes by so doggone fast.
Yes.
And your section, you are now you're officially our resident doctor.
I heard that
Okay.
title.
And because perspective, it kind of really brings everything you know, that's right. And you deserve it. So I think one of the things that I'm going to do moving forward is the people who do come as guests are going to start, they're going to start DMing us and giving us questions for you for when we come back together.
Sounds
So
like
question before we go, because I definitely have about 3 or 4 minutes before the countdown starts. So juicing.
juicers don't kill
Say
me.
it. Just say it. Just say it.
I'm not a fan of juicing. But I drink a juice every day. But I tell people, only because people go out of balance. You know, I tell people you can have too much of a good thing. Because people will only juice for 3 days straight, which you should not do. I mean, your body gets out of balance of carbohydrate. You need a balance of carbohydrate, fats, and proteins throughout a day, period. Plus, people always hear me mention that I like foods that are less processed. Juice is an over processed of fruits and vegetables, because you have to, normally they're cold compressed, which means they've been processed longer. Now, is it better than having a McDonald's quarter pounder? Yes, it is. And does it have nutrients? Absolutely. But if you make a smoothie versus a juice every now and then, that's a better option because it's less processed.
Right.
Or if you eat just your fresh fruits and vegetables whole as they are, you get more of a nutrient dense balance. So just understanding that you need that balance, and you need to make sure that you're getting all the nutrients in. It's just that the nutrients get broken down. Just like if you over fry a piece of meat, you get less nutrients because overcooked.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate it. I'm going to have more questions and more time for your section next week. I have to sign off here, but I definitely thank you so much. And again, we're going to, you know, man, I mean, they're saying nobody competes with Chris.
Kirby, you can have your green juice. That's good. I see Kirby.
Don't back up now.
Kirby's fine. Don't
Don't
throw
back
away the juice. You still getting your nutrients.
All right. All right. Well, Crystal, thank you so much. You know, there's so much more for us to talk about. We want to talk more about CBD and how it's helping people. We want to talk about a bunch more, but that'll be next week.
Okay,
Yes.
look forward to it.
All right.
All
All right. So take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So there you have it. We've come to another end of the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour. And every week I learn something new from our athletes. I learn something new from our fitness professionals or gym owners. And of course, Crystal just comes with it. You know, I don't know what else to say about that. Crystal is awesome. So make sure you send us a DM with your questions so that next week I can ask those questions right away. And, you know, have your friends come next time and like us on Instagram. And I tell you, it's going to get better and better. I mean, we got surprises coming. We have contests coming. We have some swag rollouts. I know there's a couple of people who have been asking, you know, where's my t-shirt? How do I get a t-shirt and all that? That's all coming. So just follow us. If you're not already, follow us on Champions and Legends. And man, what else can I say? Thank you. Thank you so much.